Hello, Joe Omani here talking about intellectual property this time. So, intellectual property is crucial for a firm because, in effect, if you're a firm, you are experiencing lots of useful stuff as you deliver value for clients. But if you're not capturing this, then you're dependent on the people. So, a firm that typically has weak IP usually has quite a low leverage ratio, i.e. lots of seniors doing work that juniors could be doing. Typically quite a low project margin, following on from that reason because senior people are getting too involved in the delivery of things. Weak training, so quite a long time for people to get up to speed in terms of their quality delivery. And the reason for that is that good IP can be used for training. And you've also got to look at it from a buyer's perspective. So buyers rate IP as the second most important thing. This is buyers of consulting firms, as the second most important thing for them. And the reason for this is that they don't want to be people dependent, first of all, but also certainly for delivery IP, they want to be able to pick it up and then cross-sell it to their own clients. Now, most buyers of consulting firms say that, and it's something like 70%, they struggle to identify how their target acquisition uses IP to influence the bottom line. So in other words, a buyer will need to be convinced not just that you have IP and that it's being used, but that it's really influencing your bottom line in terms of enabling junior resource to do things cheaper and more effectively, or potentially if it's a different type of IP, it might be your sales IP, that it's generating revenue. So that's quite an important thing to think about. But certainly coming up to sale, if you're a year or two away from sale and you've got a decent suite of IP, you need to start thinking about how you're going to communicate it and all the rest, communicate its value to a buyer. So I'm a big fan of doing IP audits in firms, and they very often reveal some interesting things. I've put together, in this presentation, I've put together a set of steps that you could go through to do an audit. There's a series of questions, 12 questions, ranging from does it enable faster delivery through to would competitors and clients pay for access. The important thing to bear in mind when you're doing this is that your IP strategy will depend on the type of firm that you are. If you're a heavy process firm, then a lot of your IP is going to be around the delivery of work and the methods, tools, frameworks, systems, software that you use to deliver the work in a fairly standardized, organized way so that any junior can come on doing it and do it. However, if you're a firm that is more dependent on experience, or a firm that's more focused on solving one-off innovative problems for both the client and for you, then you might have low levels of delivery IP. You might have stronger levels of IP around the firm, the sales, the marketing processes that are around the firm. So in effect, and also even if you are that type of firm, you should be looking for ways in which you can capture some of this IP, because it just speeds up the process. And you're not reinventing the wheel every time you get a project. So even if your projects are different each time, how do you approach different projects? How do you analyze them? How do you categorize them? How do you decide how to put different people on them and all the rest of it? So the presentation I've put together here is all about IP. What have you got? How do you use it? How do you improve it? And how do you audit it? And I've got some examples of that. Again, I do recognise that most firms don't have time to build beautiful IP. However, looking for the quick wins or the low-hanging fruits in terms of what's really useful, what's going to turn the dial, is quite important. And when you're doing an audit, you should be speaking not just to the subject matter experts, the people who create the IP and review it, but also the juniors who are using the IP. So, very often I've found that, and there's a client I'm talking to at the moment who does this, very often I've found that you might have good IP in the eyes of the subject matter expert, but actually only 50% of people are using it. And when you ask the juniors why they're not using it, they say because it's too old, it hasn't been updated recently, or it doesn't cover the challenges that they've got. So what do? They go and ask a senior how to do the job or to fix the problem, which wastes senior time, which takes away from business development, and you've got this awful cycle going on. So worth investing in, worth doing an annual audit, and worth looking for low-hanging fruit in terms of improving your gross margin and then net margin overall. An interesting point here is, someone said to me the other day, well, we can, in terms of IP, if we've got good IP and it's creating good leverage, which it should be doing, so typically, you want to be, depends what size of firm you are, but you want to be having, say, 8 to 12 juniors for every senior doing the work, and that's enabled by good IP. But the person said to me, well, does that mean that we don't promote? People, if you've got a leverage ratio of 1 to 10, you obviously want to maintain that, so you can't promote people until that person has left or moved on themselves. The key to this is business development, of course. So, you don't want to be promoting senior people unless they've really proven themselves in business development. You don't want to be keeping senior people unless they're bringing in good revenue. And it's that growth that allows you to make the triangle bigger. So it's not that the triangle of the firm is changing shape, it's just that it is scaling. And that's really what happens when you're getting into the scaling phase. There's an important distinction to make. Hope that's useful. Take care. Bye-bye.